Ever wished you had like a financial decoder ring,
Mm-hmm.
to make sense of those like super dense corporate reports?
Yeah.
Well, get this. Today, we're cracking the code of General Motors' latest quarterly filing,
Right.
their Form 10Q,
Right.
for the quarter ending September 30, 2024.
Okay.
We're going to uncover the juiciest bits,
Yeah.
the hidden trends, and what it all means for you.
We're talking billion-dollar decisions,
Yeah.
global strategies,
Wow.
and even some courtroom drama. Buckle up. This is going to be a wild ride.
All right, let's dive right in. First up, the big picture. GM had a seriously impressive Q3, pulling in a net income of $3.008 billion. That's slightly up from last year, which is a good sign in a market that's been anything but predictable.
What's even more impressive is their cash stash.
Okay.
They're sitting on a cool $23.744 billion.
Wow.
That's a massive leap from the $18.853 billion they had at the end of 2023.
Oh, wow.
Think of it as a strategic war chest, giving them the firepower to make bold moves while others are scrambling for funds.
So they're basically swimming in cash.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's got to be good news, right?
Absolutely. This financial strength is like a giant safety net as GM makes the leap to electric vehicles. It means they can invest in cutting-edge tech, weather any storms, and stay ahead of the game.
Speaking of big moves, one thing that caught my eye was the role of GM Financial. I knew they had a financing arm, but I had no idea it's such a powerhouse.
It's a major player, no doubt.
Yeah.
Imagine GM Financial as a giant bank inside General Motors,
Oh,
lending money to customers to buy cars
right.
and making a profit from the interest, just like your local bank does, but on a much larger scale.
Okay, that makes sense. But in the report, they break down GM Financial's Q3 revenue. A whopping 46% came from leased vehicle income. Another 40% came from those retail finance charges. That's like GM's running a giant used car dealership on the side.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
But this heavy reliance on leasing also makes them vulnerable. Imagine the used car market is like a roller coaster.
Okay.
When prices are high, GM Financial makes a killing.
Right.
But when prices plummet, it's like hitting a steep drop.
Oh.
Their profits could take a nosedive.
So that's something for you to think about. How might those unpredictable used car prices affect GM's future earnings? It's a bit of a wild card in their otherwise rosy financial picture.
Now let's trade the used car lot for a trip overseas.
Okay.
China's been a tough market for GM lately.
Yeah, I saw that they took a $347 million equity loss there in the first 9 months of 2024. Not great.
The culprit. Intense competition from local Chinese automakers. They're offering more affordable vehicles, which is putting the squeeze on GM's profits. This isn't just about competition, it's about understanding a rapidly evolving market. Chinese consumers are demanding smarter, more connected cars, and the local players are delivering. GM needs to catch up fast.
And speaking of tough situations, there's one line in the report that sent chills down my spine.
Oh.
They're hinting at a material impairment charge in Q4 related to their China operation.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Did they just say material impairment?
Hmm.
That sounds ominous.
Yeah.
What's the worst case scenario here?
When they mention material impairment, that's accountant speak for a huge potential write-down of their assets in China. Imagine having to admit you overpaid for a house,
Right.
but on a billion-dollar scale.
Oh, wow.
They're clearly restructuring their strategy in China, but the question remains, can they adapt quickly enough to regain their footing in this crucial market?
Okay, so we've got financial strength, but also some vulnerabilities. And if that wasn't enough to keep them busy, GM is also tangled up in a bunch of legal battles.
Lawsuits are a fact of life for any corporation,
Right.
and GM is no exception. They're facing everything from product liability claims to emissions investigations.
Two cases in particular caught my attention. First, there's the ongoing litigation with subcontractor workers in South Korea. Now, you might be thinking, what does a legal battle in Korea have to do with me? Well, the outcome could have ripple effects on GM's global operations, potentially impacting production costs and even the prices you pay for their vehicles. The Supreme Court recently ruled against GM Korea, which could have some serious financial implications.
The other case to watch is the dispute with NHTSA over the recall of ARC airbag inflators. Depending on how this plays out, GM might be looking at substantial recall costs that they may not be able to fully recover.
It makes you wonder how these legal headaches will impact their bottom line
Yeah.
and their ability to invest in the future.
Right.
Speaking of risky bets,
Yeah.
let's move from the courtroom to the open road,
Okay.
where GM's Cruise unit is facing its own set of challenges.
Cruise. GM's big bet on the future of autonomous vehicles. It's been a bit of a bumpy ride, to say the least.
Yeah, Cruise has hit a few speed bumps lately. I'm talking about the voluntary pause in their operations.
Right.
And the indefinite delay of the Cruise origin.
Oh, yeah.
That futuristic, self-driving shuttle, it's not exactly the smooth launch they were hoping for.
It certainly hasn't been a joyride.
Oh.
And to add to the drama, Cruise was recently hit with a $1.5 million fine from NHTSA
Wow.
and entered into a consent order. Now, for the next 2 years, they'll need to significantly enhance their reporting and engagement with the agency. It's like being put on probation for self-driving cars.
So not only are they dealing with operational setbacks,
Yeah.
but they're also under the watchful eye of regulators. That's got to be adding to the pressure.
It highlights the immense challenges of developing and deploying autonomous vehicle technology.
Right.
It's a complex undertaking with significant regulatory hurdles and a healthy dose of public skepticism.
But even with these challenges,
Yeah.
GM seems determined to make Cruise a winner. They're still pouring resources into it, which shows their unwavering belief in the future of self-driving cars.
It's a high-stakes gamble. Will Cruise eventually pay off and become a major source of revenue? Or will it continue to be a financial drain? That's the billion-dollar question.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Financial highs, strategic challenges, legal hurdles, and autonomous dreams. It's like a corporate thriller unfolding in real time.
Yeah,
But what about GM's overall outlook?
right.
Are they optimistic or pessimistic about the future?
The report strikes a tone of cautious optimism. They're projecting adjusted EBIT,
Yep.
earnings before interest and taxes,
Right.
of $14.0 to $15.0 billion for 2024.
Yep.
EBIT is a measure of a company's profitability from its core operations. It strips away the complexities of financing and taxes, giving us a clearer view of how well GM is actually performing. And based on this projection, they seem confident in their overall business.
Okay, so they're not expecting the sky to fall anytime soon. But I'm guessing there are still some potential potholes on the road ahead.
Always. The report specifically acknowledges several factors that could put a dent in their results. Think industry pricing pressures, rising interest rates, persistent inflation, and the ever-present risk of increased warranty claims. It's like navigating a financial obstacle course.
So a mix of good news and potential challenges.
Right.
But there was one line in the report that really piqued my curiosity. They mentioned potential additional restructuring and rationalization actions in the future.
Whoa.
That sounds like they're hinting at some big changes. What do you think they're planning?
It's impossible to say for sure, but it definitely suggests that GM is ready to shake things up if needed.
Right.
It could involve streamlining operations,
Right.
exiting certain markets, or even doubling down on their investments in key areas like EVs and AVs.
Ah, the strategic chess game of a corporate giant. It makes you realize that behind those quarterly numbers are real people making difficult choices that will shape the future of the company and maybe even the entire automotive industry.
Exactly. This Q3 report is just a snapshot in time, but it offers a fascinating glimpse into the complex and dynamic world of General Motors. They're a company in transition, balancing the demands of the present with the possibilities of the future.
So what does this whirlwind tour of GM's Q3 report, what does this all mean for you?
Yeah, good question.
Whether you're like a seasoned investor,
Yeah.
a casual car enthusiast, or just curious about how a giant company navigates the electric and autonomous revolution.
Right.
Well, this deep dive is giving you like a front row seat to the action.
We've seen that GM is in a surprisingly strong financial position, which gives them some wiggle room to make those big future-forward bets. But they're also facing some serious headwinds,
Yeah.
from competitive pressures in China to those looming legal battles.
It's a balancing act for sure. They're trying to squeeze every ounce of profit out of their traditional business while pouring billions into electric vehicles and self-driving technology. It's like trying to juggle chainsaws while riding a unicycle.
Yeah.
Impressive, but potentially dangerous.
And the stakes couldn't be higher. The decisions GM makes in the coming months and years will not only determine their own fate, but they could ripple outward, impacting the entire automotive landscape.
So here's a final thought for you to ponder as you navigate your own journey. Imagine a world transformed by electric and autonomous vehicles. A world where cars are smarter, cleaner, and maybe even a little bit safer. Is that a future you're excited about?
Because whether you realize it or not, GM's choices are shaping that future. Their successes and failures, their innovations and missteps will all play a role in determining what that world looks like.
So keep an eye on GM, keep asking questions, and keep thinking about the future, because the road ahead is long and the ride is just getting started.
Absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in, folks.
See